Billy, you so crazy.
Yo, what's cracking? What's bracking? It's your boy, Billy, you so crazy, and we back, and we back, and we back, and we back with another one. Y'all read the title, so you already know what I'm doing. We got what these Harry Potter characters were supposed to look like. This was uploaded by the Binger, so shout out to the Binger. You guys be sure to go subscribe and check out their channel. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, man. Your boy's a Harry Potter stan. You feels me, man? Like I mess with Harry Potter. Now I'm gonna tell y'all how I ended up getting into Harry Potter. All right, so as a kid, as a child, you know, your boy got in trouble a lot, and I went. Shout out to anybody that's a part of the that went to the LA School Unified School, the LA Unified School District. I was about to say that all types are wrong. I went to Dana Middle School out in San Pedro, man. It's in Cali. You know, if you're from Cali, you know what I'm talking about. We had this program. It was called Reading Counts. So the whole point of it was you read a book, you go take a test on it, and you get points. Now, every single month, you're supposed to have a certain amount of points. Now, I was constantly getting in trouble because my Reading Counts points weren't where they were supposed to be at. So, you know, my parents got notified, and I was always put on restriction. So Pops put me on restriction. It was like, look, you're gonna read these books. You're gonna read you some books, all right? So what ended up happening for me to get my points up, because I was so far behind, I knew that Harry Potter, they gave the most points. All I needed was 1 or 2 books, and I would have been caught up. Now, this is at the time when they had already made the movies. So I told Mom Dukes, I was like, look, Mom, if you let me watch the movie, I could take the test on it, and I could pass it. Now, I don't know how I convinced Mom Dukes at a young age to let me watch the movie, because she knew I wasn't finna read that book. Moms knew I wasn't finna read it, but she was like, look, well, I know you're not gonna be in here reading, because I mean, when I tell you I needed hella points, I needed hella points. So she was just like, whatever. So she went out to the library and freaking rented out a couple Harry Potter movies, and surprisingly, I loved it. I didn't think that I would like it, to be honest with you. I was just watching it because it was just like, well, I'm on restriction. I can't watch TV. I can't play my game. The only thing I can do is read. So, which, don't get me wrong, at the time I loved reading because it felt like I was watching a movie or watching a TV show. So like, I did fall in love with reading during that time. But when Mom Dukes got me the DVDs, or well, I don't even know if it might have been VH. I don't remember what it was at that time. But when she came home with the movies, I was like, yo, I've been sleeping on this the whole time. Where have I been? So anyways, when I seen this video pop up, I was like, all right, well, let's find out what these characters were supposed to look like. All right, so my bad for giving y'all that long drawn out story, but it just was so relatable. Just in case if you're wondering, like, yo, Billy, what you doing watching this? Like, your boy messes with Harry Potter, bro. But if you are new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Comment down below what you want to see me react to next. Follow me on all my social media links are right there. Send me a message on any one of those and I get back with you as soon as possible. I appreciate all you guys' support, man. But enough talking. Let's find out what these characters were supposed to look like.
Studies show that the average millennial thinks about the Harry Potter film franchise at least 6 times every hour. I say those are rookie numbers because what else would you even think about? It's been almost 20 years since the first film premiered, and fans still can't get enough. But did you know that many of the characters and creatures almost looked completely different? Some of them are described differently in the books, but others were designed in ways that totally conflict with what we saw on screen. So let's dive in and look at all the designs we almost got for our favorite Harry Potter characters.
I'll be fascinated to hear what you have to say.
I'll be fascinated. Shout out to the Binger. Speaking of the Binger, I got a channel called Billy Binges, y'all. Be sure to go subscribe to that second channel. It's my movie commentary channel. I'm not as active on there as I am here, but it's a different movie every time. So just, you know what I'm saying, be sure to hit the subscribe button and check out the videos I got already.
One of the characters that hardcore Potterheads complain about the most is the look of He Who Must Not Be Named.
His name is Voldemort. Phileas, you might as well use it.
Pretty sure that if we actually say his name, we get demonetized. Wizarding YouTube don't play. In the movie, he looks pretty cool. He's creepy, pale white, and has those weird nose slits. Fans of the movies were a bit weirded out by his look at first. Needless to say, everyone got used to it over time.
That's
now
what
he's
ends up
one of the
happening.
most iconic movie villains ever. If we had to rank him, he's probably sandwiched somewhere between Darth Vader and Sauron. His creepy, pale Snake Man style probably has a lot to do with that. That being said, book fans are still not quite over it. In the books, he's described as even more snake-like in appearance. More importantly, the character is supposed to have crazy red eyes. Maybe the movie people were just afraid he'd look too much like Christopher Lloyd from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I mean, can you blame him?
Yeah, we wouldn't want that.
No one will ever again.
I think it fits.
My powers.
I think it fits better, to be honest.
Now, this is probably the biggest complaint book fans have about the entire movie series. In the books, Harry's eyes are probably described almost as much as his scar is. He's supposed to have the sloppy dark hair of his father and the emerald green eyes of his mother. It's almost a running joke throughout the series.
You look very like your father. Except for the eyes, of
yeah.
course. You have your
My mother's eyes, yeah.
Every single character who knew Lily Potter seems obsessed with telling him he has his mother's eyes. What's the problem? Well, Daniel Radcliffe has blue eyes. They tried to give him green ones, but he didn't like the contacts. It's also weird that they couldn't have just fixed that with CGI.
I was about to say, like, why couldn't they just
make a CGI troll, Gringotts, and a living chess set, but blue eyes to green was a little too much? You could do that in Microsoft Paint. Luckily, the actress who plays adult Lily has blue eyes, so no problem, right? Wrong. When Snape gave Harry his memories, we're introduced to the young Lily Potter. This
Guess what she
actress
has?
Dark eyes. Snape's literal last words that he gave only a few minutes earlier were that Harry had his mom's eyes.
You have your mother's eyes.
What's worse is that she's introduced with a hard close-up on her face.
Woo,
so if there was any doubt about whether or not she had blue eyes, it was cleared up really quickly. After having to deal with detailed crazy Potterheads for years, you'd think they would have known better. You couldn't have cast a blue-eyed actress. The budget for these movies were only about $6 trillion apiece. Mad Eye has one of the
and they made way more than that.
Weirder looks in the Harry Potter films. He looks like a pirate who's trying too hard to pull off his glass eye. The look grows on you, but fans weren't super fond of it at first. He was supposed to be a lot more scarred up, and his fake eye was supposed to be more natural. Also, some concept art showed him missing a big chunk of his nose. Not everybody can pull off that Red Skull noseless look, so that was probably a good choice.
Yeah,
it's a good
it wouldn't have looked
Brendan
right.
Gleeson was pretty perfect as the world's
I think he
grumpiest
fit.
horror.
End of story. Goodbye. The end.
I think he fits.
If only we could get a spin-off movie about him taking on evil wizards like the grizzled magic cop he is. Tonks is one of the most beloved minor characters in the series. She's got a lot more style and attitude than most of the other B players do. You might not know that if you watch the movies because she's got about 2 minutes of screen time.
For real.
She also is lacking a lot of her style from the books. Ideally, she should look like she just stepped out of whatever the Diagon Alley equivalent Hot Topic is every day. Her hair is supposed to be a lot more vibrant and interesting as well. Her love story with Lupin, her child, and everything else about her character was toned down as well. Honestly, it's almost surprising that they didn't cut her out entirely.
For real.
It's kind of sad that what could have been one of the most vibrant big screen characters ended up being one of the most forgettable. Seriously, the actress had a better time in one episode of The Mandalorian than she did in the entire movie franchise. Even her forgettable part in Game of Thrones looked impressive compared to the sparse few seconds she was in the franchise.
That's okay though, she getting a check for the rest of her life though.
Remembered primarily as Tonks, no matter what else she does. Well, it looks like Tonks is so cool that even a few scenes is enough to make her memorable. The Death Eaters went through a lot of changes over the years. Their first appearance in the film series was not subtle. They had pointed hoods and skull masks. The look was a half step away from looking like it belonged in Django Unchained. The look in the subsequent movies was a big improvement. They wore these cool, personalized bad guy masks. Well, unless they were one of the main baddies. Lucius wasn't big on hiding those golden locks of his. Though I have to wonder who made all of these weird masks. Is there some sort of multiversal bad guy mask designer that makes them for everybody? Does he have pictures of Darth Vader, Bane, and Michael Myers on his wall? The concept art designs actually looked much cooler than both. They looked sort of like if the Eyes Wide Shut masquerade people were having a gothic Alice in Wonderland party.
Actually, the concept art is dope.
Lucius Malfoy wasn't throwing those parties every single weekend, now that I think about it. There are a lot of cool CGI creatures in Harry Potter. Then there are some creatures that don't look that great. The Giants are unfortunately some of the most disappointing creatures, especially the scenes with Grop. Something about the animations just never looked real. Some of the concept art looked much more interesting. The look was something like a caveman Geralt of Rivia. Neither worked quite as well as the Giants from Game of Thrones did, but at least Harry Potter managed to stick the ending. It's kind of surprising that the designers didn't make it work for the Giants. They created some of the most iconic creatures in movie monster history. Tell me you aren't still terrified that basilisk is real. So it seems strange that one of the creatures that tripped them up was just a giant version of a person. Could they not have just called the Rock?
That wouldn't have been bad, actually.
Could any other actress have ever played Bellatrix Lestrange?
How do I look?
Helena Bonham Carter is perfect as Voldemort's psycho second in command, and maybe girlfriend. She's basically the Harley Quinn to his Joker. She definitely needs a Birds of Prey style solo movie too. If you think that Voldemort and Bellatrix are just creepy friends, I have some bad news for you. You see, there was this little play called Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. In it, we find out about this chick named Delphine, who's actually Voldemort and Bellatrix's daughter. So, yeah, just take a second to absorb all of the horrifying implications there. That pit you feel in your stomach right now? That never goes away. But back to Bellatrix. A lot of the movie character's style and personality comes from Carter's charismatically crazy performance. The book Bellatrix was plenty mad, but didn't have quite as much style. She was your standard, dark-haired femme fatale who was a lot more concerned with her
like
superior
Dark Shadow
blood
vibes.
status. Some of the concept art even has her looking a lot more like Narcissa Malfoy. This is pretty hard to even imagine. It's kind of like how the original plan for Captain Jack Sparrow was for him to be a pretty normal pirate. Like, who would these characters even be without their quirky craziness? I'm not really sure who made the decision that Lestrange's hair should look like a dirty bird's nest. That detail definitely was not in the books. Like, if a crow randomly flew out of her hair, it wouldn't be surprising at all. Okay, before we even start, let's just clear something up. Emma Watson is amazing. She's a great actress, a great activist, and seems like a pretty great person all around.
You're amazing.
She's gorgeous too.
She was awesome as Hermione, but her look never quite matched the one from the books. The Hermione from the books is described as frizzy-haired and having big front teeth. They started the movie version with crazy hair, but backed off on that in the third movie. She never had big teeth, which is a real shame. The scene where Hermione changes her own teeth because she was getting bullied would have been great on the big screen. To be completely honest, the frizzy hair in the books doesn't actually make a lot of sense. Magic can fix everything from cracked glasses to regrowing bones. You'd think it could do the work of a hair straightener. Even if it couldn't, Hermione comes from the Muggle world. She would have potentially had a hair straightener. The movies made the right call. Also, the book Hermione wasn't likely as stunning as Emma Watson. Who is, though?
I mean, like, so the thing with with the actors is just like, you would have to literally just find someone that fits that perfectly and hope that they have some type of acting background. And if they don't, then you would have to train them up to even look believable on screen. I mean, I think the people that they chose still worked out. Even certain things that they did still worked out.
Rupert Grint is the perfect Ron Weasley.
I don't even got to say I think, I know
all of the
it
Weasleys
worked
are
out
considered
perfectly.
Perfect casting choices. They all have that iconic red hair and those over-the-top attitudes. That being said, there is one thing that the Weasleys are severely lacking. Where are the freckles? If there are two things that everyone knows about the Weasleys, is that they have red hair and are eaten up with freckles. The movie versions of the characters are strangely freckle-free. Perhaps the CGI technology to freckleify faces just wasn't up to par while they were making the Harry Potter movies. Those are thousands of freckles you have to keep up through every single frame of film. This is actually a much wider spread problem than just Harry Potter. Across all film mediums, our film characters are severely lacking in beautifully freckled faces. Free the freckles, Hollywood! Free the freckles! Now, if you only watched the movies, you're probably thinking, who's Fenrir Greyback? Well, he's that creepy-looking guy who burned down the Weasleys' house. You might not have realized this, but that dude's a werewolf. It's understandable if you didn't pick that up because the movies didn't really bother with it.
He don't look nothing
One of the
like
easiest
a
ways
werewolf.
to fix that would have been to actually make him turn into a wolf.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he's attacking the Weasley home in the middle of the night. That would have been an easy way to let those non-book readers know what was up. They wrote the scene for the film
I told you,
anyway,
I've seen the movie, so I don't know.
His human look in the movies is okay. He doesn't really look like a monster so much as he does a really, really creepy dude.
What happened to you? No, not you.
A creepy dude who goes to the same cheap tailor as the original Sabretooth. The same dentist too, now that I think about it. Greyback was originally going to look much scarier looking. He was going to have sunken-in yellow eyes, a long mane of hair, and a lot of scars. So, you know, like a werewolf. They decided to go in a slightly subtler way with the character. It's hard to believe that the same designers worked on Greyback and Bellatrix. They went in two completely different directions there. They decided to go iconic with one and make the other look like a reject from the Underworld franchise.
No,
that's not fair.
For
At
real.
least in that franchise, they actually got to be werewolves. If you saw The Little Mermaid, you were probably a bit disappointed in how the merpeople looked in Harry Potter. It was a bit less a whole new world and a bit more terrifying. As freaky looking as the underwater creatures were, they were actually walked back a little from the original look. The concept art shows creatures so inhuman that they would make the dude from The Shape of Water seem like a Hemsworth brother. Still, would it have been so hard to have friendly-looking merpeople? They didn't even sing one song. We know they have good singing voices too because they recorded an album in a dragon egg. We're dropping a challenge right now. Come up with the perfect album name for the Harry Potter merpeople in the comment section. I'll start with Black Lake Blues. Too on the nose? One of the most shocking things to happen in both the movies and the books is the scene where Nagini explodes out of that lady. Needless to say, that's a pretty surprising development. Most people don't expect to see snakes randomly jettisoning out of old lady faces. If you do, there's probably a hotline or something that you should call. What's crazy is that the original version of the scene was supposed to be even crazier. She was going to slowly pull herself out of the old lady's mouth. At some point along the way, they clearly remembered that kids watch these movies.
I mean, for real, every kid would have been scared.
Start with Nagini literally eating a lady, so maybe they didn't care about it so much. It's kind of strange that it's almost never mentioned.
I think it's different from eating a lady and it coming out of a lady. Like, I felt that would have been a lot for me at that age, probably. Every time a woman opened her mouth, I would be like, "Oh my God!"
France. Nor was it mentioned
what
that
snake
she was
about to come out your mouth
with the other evil wizard Grindelwald. You'd think that would have come up at some point. You could almost think that J.K. Rowling made some of these details up as she went. Nah, that couldn't possibly be true. Okay, so there's nothing in this world more terrifying than Dementors. They're floating monsters that literally feed on your happiness and suck your soul right out of your face. It really doesn't get much more terrifying than that. Turns out, it actually does. The movie Dementors basically looked like floating CGI ring wraiths. The original concept art showed them looking a lot more skeletal. We would have actually seen more of what they looked like underneath those CGI robes. You don't get to see much, just a little glimpses of their white corpse-like skin. Not to mention their sunken black eyes and their freakishly long fingers. Nope. I don't need that in my life. I'm happy with fake-looking Dementors, thank you very much. And just to wipe that from our minds, let's take a few seconds to look at the Niffler from Fantastic Beasts. Look at how cute he looks. All he wants is as many coins as he can carry. It's the cutest little thing in the whole world.
Okay, now that's something I haven't seen. I will be honest with you, I have not seen that.
Bill Weasley is kind of a contradictory character. In many ways, he's the best Weasley. He's the one that's supposed to be the most charismatic and heroic of the bunch. Somehow, though, he's the most forgettable Weasley of them all. Though you do have to admit that he rocks that hair. Seriously, if there's such a thing as wizard shampoo commercials, you know he's in them swishing that back and forth. Not everybody can pull off long-haired ginger, but Bill Weasley definitely can. The one thing everyone remembers about him is that he was horribly disfigured by Fenrir Greyback. Well, unless you watch the movies. In that, he's just kind of scarred up a little bit. Apparently, the scarring in the books was just a little bit much for the big screen. Of course, this was the movie where Dobby gets a knife in the chest, so who knows? It's kind of like how Kylo Ren was hideously disfigured in The Force Awakens, but had teeny tiny little scratches in The Last Jedi. Speaking of Star Wars, both the movies and the books leave out the part where Bill joins an evil space empire. That seems like an oversight. Honestly, it seems more like something Percy would do.
Well, Neville, I'm sure we can find a place for you in our rank.
Neville Longbottom is one of the most surprising characters in the franchise. He spends most of the series as a lovable, clumsy doofus. He's basically the Jerry from Parks and Recreation of the wizarding world. Then he surprises everybody by acting as a big hero in the very last book. The dude uses the sword of Gryffindor to destroy Nagini like the Braveheart-style hero he always was. There's a big difference between book Neville and movie Neville.
Braveheart vibes.
That is that book Neville never becomes the hottest dude in Hogwarts. Seriously, the movie Neville got so attractive in the last movie that the term Neville Longbottomed was invented. That's when you go from normal looking to freakishly attractive for those that don't use Tumblr. The guy went from being Harry's weird friend to a young Clive Owen. You know what? That prophecy was onto something. Neville Longbottom might actually be the real hero of this story. And there you have it. All the major ways our favorite Harry Potter characters almost looked very different on the big screen. Were there any you thought were better? Let us know in the comments.
All right, so that was what these Harry Potter characters were supposed to look like. You guys let me know in the comment section who is your favorite from the Harry Potter series. Let me know in the comment section. They got 10 Marvel actors who auditioned for the other MCU roles. I might check that one out too. If you guys enjoyed this reaction, give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below which one to see me react to next. Follow me on all my social media links are right there. Send me a message on any one of those and I get back with you as soon as possible. I appreciate you guys' love and support. It's your boy Billy, you so crazy. And I'll see you on the next video, man. I'm out.